This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 7 August 2021. This week, we're going to start off with something out of Oz. A report was just recently issued by the Western Australia's Auditor General, and in that report, it states that they found that some former staff at state entities still had access to IT systems and equipment despite being let go. Now, to those of you that have been in my class or that have some background in the field, this is a quintessential insider threat type of concerns. So, let's dig into this. In the finding, they were probing staff exit controls in place at 3 state government agencies. The audit assessed the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, the Department of Finance, and the Department of Local Government, Sport, and Cultural Industries, and was looking for how effective and efficient they managed the staff exiting process specifically to minimize security, asset, and financial risk. What's interesting is, don't forget, it is 7 August 2021. This particular audit covered just the time period of 1 July 2019 to 31 December 2020, and only a small sample size of 30 staff from the DLGSC, 27 from the DPLH, and 26 from the finance organization. This included consultants and third-party contractors that left during that period. I guess, given the time range, it's not just the U.S. Wheels of government that tend to move a little slow. So, let's talk about the good. Well, the good is all of these agencies actually did what they were supposed to do, and at least they did cancel the exiting staff's IT access. That's the good. The bad is it was not always done immediately. According to the report, it took between 2 and 161 days to deactivate or withdraw access to information systems after the staff left the entity. Now, the 161 days, while sounding like an absolute nightmare, is really kind of a gray space. It looks like that it was due to some sort of secondary type of relationship where the former employee continued to take work on behalf of the entity. So kind of maybe it was a part-time thing, or not even a part-time thing. It might have been like an ad hoc thing. So if there was an agreement on paper, it's probably not that bad, but maybe that person's access should have been reviewed over that time period or something like that. I don't have all the details, but the report makes it sound really bad. Gray space, at least on that one particular example. Now, the other entities, 3 of the entities, actually record specifically when the IT access was canceled. But in probing the DPLH, they found that they did not specifically record it at all. The only place where the audit was able to find when the IT access was terminated was within the system log information. Okay, good, but maybe we can do better. OIG found for DPLH that cancellations range between 1 day, which is good, and 124. Again, not so good. Elsewhere in the report, there's examples of inadequate information showing whether or not the offices had canceled badge access in a timely manner, whether or not they had canceled or returned IT assets, and at the DLGSC, the OIG's office found records of only 6 exited staff in its sample of 30 pertaining to laptop returns. So, what happened to the other 24? Now, again, I don't have all the data, but maybe there was an agreement, or they were able to buy them out, or something like that. But still, you have now, state government data on these systems, probably not the wisest thing, even if you trust the former employees, right? They're not going to do anything with the data, especially if they left on not horrific terms. They could get hacked, and then that data could leak. So, yeah, 20 batting average of 6 out of 24, not awesome. So the report then goes on to do some of the common sense things that you may have maybe thinking about, which is to minimize risk when unauthorized access to the premises is now warranted because the staff are terminated. One, make sure you have an accurate register of all the access passes, including returned and canceled or deactivated ones. That would be a thing. They also suggest that access to IT systems is completely removed or disabled immediately when staff leave, and that entities clearly record when the removal of IT access occurred and maintain a register of all assets issued to staff at commencement, during employment, and what is returned at exit. So this is pretty common sense stuff, but are also seeing this happen not uncommon. And one needs to ask why, right? Why, if we know that these are the right things to do we not do them? Is it poor training of the departments that are supposed to do it? Are those departments overworked? Are they not staffed properly? It could be a litany of things, but all of the things that happened here in the western states of Australia are big, huge, honking red flags for insider threat. Not behavior, but opportunity. That's the word I was looking for. If you are a longer time listener to the podcast, you'll remember a breach that I refer to as the gift that keeps on giving. Well, SolarWinds has shown itself again. The Russian-linked group that targeted SolarWinds using a supply chain attack compromised at least one email account at the 27 U.S. attorneys' offices in 15 states and the Washington, D.C. throughout 2020, according to an update that was posted on the U.S. Department of Justice website this past Friday. These intrusions at the federal prosecutor's offices took place sometime between May 7th and the 27th of December in 2020, and it targeted specifically Microsoft Office 365 accounts belonging to department employees. Attackers were able to access all email communication as well as message attachments, according to the Justice Department notes. While federal prosecutors' offices in the 15 states and Washington, D.C., as we mentioned, were compromised, it looks like, according to the DOJ, attackers paid, let's go with more attention to 4 U.S. attorneys' offices that cover New York State. The APT group gained access to at least 80% of employees working in the U.S. attorney offices located in the eastern, northern, southern, and western districts of New York. The Justice Department has stated that it did notify all employees that were impacted, but did not specify, either because they're not going to or they're not sure, either one, why such a large number of accounts were specifically targeted in these 4 offices. Other notable U.S. attorneys' offices that were caught up in this part of the cyber espionage campaign include the Northern District of California, the District of Columbia, the Eastern District of Virginia, and the Western District of Washington. You tell me why you think these were the targets they were most interested in. All right. Let's move on to defense, or lack thereof. On September 17th of 2020, the largest ship in the United Kingdom's Royal Navy, the aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth, was heading out towards the Irish Sea. What happened was rather interesting. This ship was being escorted by destroyers and smaller ships from the UK, the Dutch, and Belgian navies. 6 vessels moving in close formation would have made an awe-inspiring spectacle if they were actually there. Satellite imagery of their supposed locations shows nothing but deep blue sea, and a news report suggests that the warships were actually scattered in distant ports at the time. The Queen Elizabeth and its flotilla were previously unreported victims of a trend, which was warships having their positions and even their entire voyages faked using an automatic identification system, wireless radio technology, that and other items that are designed to prevent collisions at sea. According to analysis conducted by a conservation technology nonprofit called SkyTruth and Global Fishing Watch, another one. I do not know much about either of these organizations, just for declaration on my part. Over 100 warships from at least 14 European countries, as well as Russia and the United States, appear to have had their locations faked, sometimes for days at a time, since August of 2020. More frightening than just ghosting of ships is that some of the tracks the ships were on are approaching foreign naval bases or intruding into disputed waters, and anyone should logically think that those type of activities might cause an escalation of response from the entity being intruded upon. All of the characteristics of what's occurred suggest that there is a common perpetrator involved in this ghosting. So, how is this occurring? Well, all ships, all commercial ships, have to have installed something called an AIS transponder. This is something that uses GPS data. The devices broadcast who they are, what their position is, what their course is, and the speed every few seconds. This is to ensure there's no collisions at sea. Everybody knows where everybody else is going, that sort of thing. However, military vessels are not obliged to broadcast their AIS, but many do when navigating busy ports, although sometimes under assumed identities for obvious, operational security reasons. Now, although VHF radio signals are fairly limited in their range, there is a global network of public and private shore-based AIS receivers, and now fleets of orbiting satellites that are also picking up AIS signals, right? Sites like Marine Traffic and AIS Hub aggregate this and make it publicly available online. So, the fake data doesn't directly threaten maritime safety, but it's kind of interesting, right? So we're spoofing here. Who's doing the spoofing is really the question, right? And why? Provocation, possibly. Just for the lulz, also very possible. The researchers who published this report aren't willing to assign it to any particular country or actor, but only to say again that whoever's doing it may be the same actor. And there are others that are suggestive of who it might be based on disinformation campaigns that have already happened in other arenas. I am not willing to make that particular assessment because I think we're 1 or 2 steps, maybe 3, 5 steps removed from actually understanding who that is, and also why, right? Maybe this is all testing. Maybe this, if it was nation-state activity, they're definitely testing out, poking, as you would, to find out what they are capable of doing and what might the response be for some of these actions. And if it's not a nation-state actor, they may be just trying to see if they can stir the pot. That's the professor's opinion on this. So what's the resolution here? Nothing right now. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be that AIS has to not be unencrypted anymore. So maybe a V2 version of AIS is what has to be created. But until then, ships got to sail, so they're going to use what's available. So let's hope this spoofing or ghosting of maritime vessels, warships or otherwise, is not widespread and not proliferated globally all the time. And finally, something that relates to readings in my class, that is the GDPR and violations within the GDPR and how that's kind of concerning for a lot of reasons. However, Amazon is reporting that it has been fined 746 million euros. That's approximately 900 million US dollars under the European Union's GDPR for violating privacy rights in its advertising program. The Luxembourg Data Authority, known as the National Data Protection Commission, levied the fine on the 16th of July. But it wasn't made public until this past Friday when Amazon released its second quarter 2021 financial statements. Obviously, Amazon strongly disagrees with this ruling and is going to attempt to appeal it. Regulators are stating that Amazon's processing of personal data did not comply with GDPR requirements, and the company acknowledged it has been ordered to change its business practices, according to media reports. The fine was issued by authorities because in Luxembourg, because that location of Amazon is the location of Amazon's European headquarters. If this fine is upheld, it will be a new record. It would be the largest fine issued under GDPR, surpassing the previous record of a paltry 56 million US dollars against Google in January of 2019. That's all for the news this week. I'm your professor of cyber risk. We'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.